Hey everybody, it's time for another wonderful edition of the Jersey Tales.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah, yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it. It's fine. We're all excited
That
to
was
be here.
that
It's
one
gonna be.
take. Holy shit! One take. That was amazing.
Oh, it's gonna be great. We're thrilled to be here, everybody. Well, who's all on tonight's
Oh
show?
my gosh.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, Silox is apparently here.
Hi. Howdy, howdy.
Bunt's here.
Hi.
Han is back with us. Oh, we got producer Lexi in the booth, and it's me, Red Ram. Welcome, everybody, to the Jersey Tales. And so, of course, this is our post-feast week where all of the best of the college of footballs has occurred. And it was actually quite an enjoyable week for some of us. It could have been just a little slightly better, but we can hear about that in a second because Bunt gets to go first. So, Bunt, how did you fare during feast week?
I'm not gonna lie. People think that, I'm happy with Georgia's win. I am not. I am absolutely not at all.
Well,
Believe it
no,
or
why don't
not,
you tell us? No, tell us what happened. What happened with the Georgia Tech? Because something happened.
we win the 8 overtimes with our rivals. Keep that in mind. It's-
Eight overtimes
yeah, I mean,
against
I'm
Georgia
not.
Tech.
I'm not bragging about the win because it looked awful. I'm just happy we won.
And how
Because
do you think you deserve to go up 8 or 5 places or whatever it was in the playoff ranking?
see, my thing is, we had a bad game against Tech. That's our rivals, though. And, that happens. But if you watched the game, our receivers are to blame and nobody else. Big time. They dropped so many wide open passes, and it kept on getting on my nerves. That one wasn't even on Beck. Not at all. It wasn't even close to Beck's fault. It was our receivers.
Now, see, I watched the game, and I didn't have as much problem with your wide receivers, though. I will say this: the NIL payments you made to the refs were working out great for you towards the end there.
I'm
So,
tired of hearing about this ref ball situation. If you watched the entire game, you would have seen all the face masks and all the holding in the first and second quarter that the Yellow Jackets were doing. And I even called it out in the group chat several times. I said, "What is this? There's so much holding and there's so much face mask. Oh, but nobody bats an eye. But when it's the team that, expected to win by a lot, oh, what? Now it's ref ball? Oh, I mean, that's crazy to me. I
You're just lucky
mean,
that your receiver core was even out of prison to do that crap.
we still on the prison jokes?
Yeah, we're
yeah.
still on the prison
Those
joke.
are so old at this point. Jeez.
Well,
Maybe
Anyway,
if you put up a better performance, we would stop making them.
it would probably be better if our receivers were in prison. Not literally, but because we have the worst rate of drop passes in the entire FBS. And if you think that it wasn't our receivers to blame, did you not see how many times our receivers dropped wide open passes? Not to mention the one that could have ended the game even earlier than it did.
I mean,
And what
my
caused us
issue with
to.
that is if your receiving core is that bad, maybe you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
We still got our running game. And when we can make catches, we're doing stuff. I mean, what they always say, defense wins championship, even though defense didn't, show up that much against Haynes King. But, you know, when
It
it's
showed up in
against
the fourth and
good
6th
teams,
overtime, right? Like they
To be
were able to
very
stop something then.
fair, to Bunt, Georgia Tech likes to play well against really, really good teams, and then just gets destroyed by like a college you've never heard of before. That's kind of the Georgia Tech experience,
I mean,
in a nutshell.
is this coming from an FSU fan that
We
they
lost the
have?
point. What do you think? I have nothing but pain and contempt in my life for football right now. I am a broken person. I am broken. Look,
It's okay.
I I can say what I want. I can say what I want.
You tell him, Grover.
Look, by all means, I am not happy with the way this win looked at all. We always do this against teams that we should beat by a lot, but we'll go up against, the teams that are expected to beat us. Like they expected Tennessee to beat us, they expected Texas to beat us in Austin. That's a hard game to play in 100,000 fans, and them throwing trash on the field and all that stuff. Remember that? And all that other stuff. And we're expected to get beat out by a lot, but then we're the ones winning. But then we struggle against these teams. It's just always been Georgia. I mean, we did it in our years we won the national championship. But if we're talking about present time, it's still a Georgia thing to do, to struggle against teams they should beat out by a lot.
So then, like, I guess my question: was it a close game because it was a rivalry game, and therefore Georgia Tech's got to play you close?
That's a good. I mean, that's a good part of the reason why. I mean, because if you look at the history between those games, there's always been friction between Georgia Tech and Georgia, and in the entire rivalry. I mean, there was a couple of times Georgia Tech beat the socks off us, and we beat the socks off Georgia Tech. But if you look at the games that were actually close, and there were several upsets. We've upset Tech. Tech's upset us, or we barely, we almost got upset. Or they almost got upset. It's a constant back and forth thing with Georgia and Georgia Tech. It's just the history between those two schools, and it's reliving history. And Georgia Tech, they got something going, and not to mention, I'm pretty sure before this season started, Brent Key had circled Georgia. I'm pretty sure, because before the game he said, "I hate Georgia." Well, he didn't say that exactly. What he said was, when somebody asked him about Georgia, he said, "There's nothing more that I hate." So my guess is that Brent Key was preparing for this game for a long time, because I think that Georgia Tech is tired of losing to Georgia. That's just me, because they specifically asked them on that, and that's why I think they just all of a sudden try their hardest against Georgia, because they just have that hatred for Georgia.
Well, now that that's out of the way about how it's because it's a rivalry game, so obviously they're going to play you close. So Louisville played a rivalry game this weekend too.
Hold on, can I say one more thing? Can I say one more
Sure.
thing on the Mac?
Sure.
My whole thing is, one last comment. At least we won our rivalry game. Ohio State.
That's later. We'll discuss that later. Before you start throwing shade, keep in mind that you're in supposedly the SEC, which is by far having the worst rebuilding year I've ever seen.
I don't know, E. I mean, like, the only teams Big Ten has to flaunt is literally Oregon and maybe Indiana, or maybe Ohio State. Just be like, maybe they had a down week. Maybe they just somehow had a down week. But after that loss, I don't know. all
It
they
seems
have to
weird
flaunt,
that
all they have to flaunt is literally Oregon right now.
I just find it interesting that supposedly one of the top teams in the SEC is that struggled into 8 overtimes against a Midland team. I believe that was at home too, wasn't it?
My thing is, we still won, and we still beat the good teams out of our conference.
Well, there was another SEC team that was hosting one of their ACC rivals this weekend, and it turned out 41-14, because it's important that rivalry games are close, because Louisville just went and completely destroyed Kentucky, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, except for the other times that we've completely destroyed them.
I wish I could have fun with football.
And if you recall correctly, Kentucky almost beat Georgia too.
If you're going out on a whole tangent about how Louisville could beat Georgia if they played, didn't y'all lose to Stanford?
Yeah, we also beat Clemson.
Yeah. By how much?
Enough.
Hot take: Florida State could beat Georgia. Dab.
63 to what? 3? What was that score again?
We were resting all of
Anybody
our
remember
starters.
that?
Starters. No one
Anybody
was
remember
there.
that?
It was
Anybody
literally
remember
like we were
that
playing
game?
against like freshmen. You're like, oh man, we won a pointless game where basically everyone was just eligible for the draft. Like that's dumb. Like, don't use that game, man.
But isn't it with the bowl game, right? You're seeing what next year's team kind of looks like, right?
Yeah, because all our teams were seniors, and they weren't. Right? What do you think? I'm going to be like saying like FSU is great now?
So what you're
You think I'm
telling
like
me
some kind of
is
truther? I'm in hell.
the
I
same
am in
team,
hell.
the
I am
same
in
team
hell.
that Georgia played in the Orange Bowl is the same FSU team right now?
Pretty much, yeah, we sucked.
So
I mean, what do you
so
want?
my point stands. So you still think FSU can beat Georgia?
Yeah, because Georgia also
We
sucks.
beat. Oh my god.
I don't care.
I'm sorry.
Two sucky teams fighting against each other.
That is like one of the greatest takes I've heard in a while.
Because we suck. And suck recognizes suck. That's how this is going to work.
There is no way.
Do the dumbest win possible, and then in a meaningless, pointless game that means nothing.
An Orange Bowl win, yeah. I mean, it's not that pointless. You still get a trophy for it,
Well,
and
not
it's a
the
New Year's Six
Orange
bowl.
I don't care about. I mean, that was also a meaningless, pointless thing because we didn't get to the college playoffs. Because we got and now we're bad. I wish football was. I wish I had new good things on the weekend. Now I only know alcoholism.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But that take that Florida State could beat Georgia that's one of the craziest takes I think I've heard all year.
I've stopped caring. I've stopped caring.
That-
You know what? You know what? Gonzaga could beat Georgia.
In basketball, sure, not football. They don't even have a football team.
Y'all
they
are
don't.
reaching way too far.
I saw it in basketball this weekend too, and Gonzaga's not much to look at either. But what I would say is, let me rephrase that. It isn't Florida State could beat Georgia. It's Georgia could easily find a way to lose to Florida State if they played.
Yeah, exactly.
Easily.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know
Yeah.
about that one, Chief. Y'all reaching way too far.
You don't think that
SEC
Georgia could find a way to lose to Florida State?
It would take a lot of screw ups, honestly.
Hey,
if you think for a second,
One at a time.
if you think for a second that FSU isn't about to throw like 5 picks to the Georgia defense, you're crazy.
that is true, and we'd still win, Dab.
No shot. Y'all reaching.
You still wouldn't lose. Remember, we're going with the negatives. We're going with the negatives. It's not that you would win; it's that you wouldn't lose.
Here's my question: how confident are you on that? Would you put money on that?
I would. I will bet you
$100 right now. I'm just kidding.
$100. I got $100 to burn.
Yeah. It's so nice seeing Alabama slotted for the Citrus Bowl. That gives me life. This is good.
What's so crazy to me is that they still have really good chances of making the playoffs.
Yeah, because the committee intentionally slotted them at 13. So if any of y'all messed up, they could leapfrog you. It's not a conspiracy. It's true.
Yeah. And don't worry, Bunt, though. Don't worry, Bunt. Like if you screw up in the SEC championship game, I'm sure the Music City Bowl would love to have you.
Imagine going to the Music City Bowl. Cannot.
It's Georgia.
And then we'll have Bunt talking about how a 3-team SEC school should make the playoff.
Yeah, I mean,
God.
if there was somehow a 3-loss SEC championship team that was in the championship and won, then I would believe it. But I would have to go out on a limb.
Will probably lose by a field goal, and you're going to be like, even though we had 3 losses, we should still make it.
Who's going to the Pop-Tart?
That's
Bowl?
crazy. That's assuming
We covered
you
that last week.
assume that I'm that blinded by bias and all that stuff. As much as I really would hate to miss the playoffs, I don't think I want to see my 3-loss Georgia team in the playoffs. Because
Look,
So
I'm not biased or anything, but I really think FSU got screwed out of the playoffs this year. I'm just saying.
This year?
well,
This year or last year?
well,
This year,
This year.
I'm
well.
gonna say
You
not this year.
mean the playoffs for the playoffs for the worst teams? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean FSU. If we had just won 10 more games, we would be in the playoffs right now.
Gotcha. So
If
you
we
you
if we
got scammed
only
out of the worst.
look, we're
The
talking
playoffs
about
for the
ifs.
worst
We can
teams.
talk about ifs and hand. I messed up that saying, but all I'm saying is that if FSU just beat 10 more teams, we
Mhm.
easily be in the playoffs.
Just a measly 10
I-
more teams.
I guess.
just a little 10 more teams, maybe.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like the college committee, because they kind of screwed us. Because 10 wins is not that much.
speaking of playoff, we need Boise State to host a playoff game.
On
A
Smart
loud
Card?
and
Talk
correct
about-
buzzer.
The one.
Also,
One
Go
time, one
ahead.
at a time, please.
yeah,
We're
absolutely.
gonna because I'm done relishing in my ACC victory over the SEC team, and
Oh,
it's not even one that someone can sit there and be like, well, if only this would have gone such a way. And it was like, no, like we have a palindrome score. That's how bad of a beatdown we put down on you. And it's
Nice.
okay. If the Kentucky fans could spell palindrome, they would be very upset. But we're moving
That's
on, and
silly.
well, they're Walmart fans, so I have to deal with them. It's fine. We're moving on though, because so how'd Maryland do this weekend?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Maryland football is awful. They lost to Penn State, and Mike Locksley deserves to be fired. There's nothing to talk about Maryland. There really isn't.
Really? Because that
Um,
sounds like there might be something to talk about there.
What? Mike Locksley deserves to be fired. Oh, okay. What do you want me to say about Maryland football? Maryland football has just been completely garbage since they moved to ever since Ralph Friedgen retired, Maryland football has been garbage. And they moved to the Big Ten, which made them even more garbage. It should have stayed in the ACC. All right. I'm sick and tired of mediocrity. We lost to Penn State. Every single year, I go to a game and I get let down, and I'm tired of it. Basketball is on. I'm focused on basketball.
Well, you know what happened, right? Because you weren't ranked. If you were ranked, you would have won that game. Because it's Penn State.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're not wrong. It is Penn State.
They see a number next to your name, they're just like, oh no, well, I'm sorry. Well, here's your win. I'm terribly sorry about the inconvenience you making you come out here and see our weird looking lion creature.
I have been to a Penn State game before, and it is a cult up there in Happy Valley or whatever that place is called, State College, PA. Do not go there. Place is weird, but yeah, no, Penn State, they'll lose any ranked game. Like I don't know who they're going to be slotted against in the playoff, but don't bet on them. Bet against them. Like I have a half a mind to bet against them this week against Oregon, even though ESPN is like, oh, we're going for Penn State. Like that. No, you're not. Bet against Penn State. This is officially me talking. This is not the podcast telling you to do that. This is me talking. So if you lose your money, you can come after me. Don't come after everybody else.
Yeah.
You gotta have liability. But yeah, no, Maryland football sucks. I've lost interest. I'm focusing on Maryland basketball at this point. Until they inevitably make me sad. And I just stop caring.
Lexi, you're just going to have to figure out what we're going to do with this, because like now Con gets to talk about Florida State instead of like earlier.
Yeah. Well,
How about them Seminoles?
to quote a wise man, when asked about the execution of our offense, I'm all for it. I think that's very fair. Just line them up against the wall. I mean, what else is there to say? It's been a season of pain, misery, and collapse. Historic collapse. I didn't even watch this game because I was too sad. All of my football teams are collapsing. Everything's falling apart around me. My life is over. I have decided to drink a lot of alcohol. That's it. That's my life.
So apparently, the one thing that actually has less teeth than even a Kentucky fan looks to be the Big Ten. After the big kerfuffle that occurred at the game, as they're so happy to call it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, at the end of the game, one of the Michigan fans, or not fans, players wanted to go plant a flag on Ohio State's field. And well, Ohio State was having none of that. And this massive brawl erupts. The Big Ten looked at this, realized one of these two teams actually has playoff potential. And so instead of sending suspensions, they just fined both teams $100,000. I'm pretty sure the concessions alone for popcorn at that game covered that. But please, someone else take a different perspective to that.
Teams,
I mean,
Go
go
on.
ahead.
teams trying to plant flags on the logos. I'm going to be so for real. They're trying to be Baker Mayfield when he was with Oklahoma. Yeah, he did it the best, honestly. Even though I didn't like Oklahoma Baker Mayfield because that team got very cocky against Georgia, and we wound up beating them in the 2018 Rose Bowl. But that
So you
was
say you love them?
no,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't like them because they were being cocky that year. But what I was saying is that I did have a lot of respect for Baker because he was a really good quarterback at Oklahoma, and I still have respect for Baker. But when he planted the flag at in Ohio State's field, he did it the best. Every team now trying to copy him, and look at where it's ending up: fights,
People getting
brawls,
sprayed.
fines.
One at a time. This isn't a tradition. This is just a new thing. Like somebody goes and grabs a flag, and like
I'm more
so,
talking about
like
the FSU sod cemetery thing.
But
yeah,
like,
but
why
they
do
usually
we
get
do
permission
this?
for that.
But like, why do we? Okay,
Go ahead.
again, I'm gonna come across as soft, and I apologize, but in the I'm all for sportsmanship. Why the heck are we allowing grown men and women or whatever to just do this and think it's okay? Like,
Do
are
what?
these traditions or these acts that provoke other people? Let's say that they're acts that provoke other people to come after them. Case in point, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when Terrell Owens, when he was on the 49ers, went to the middle of the Dallas Cowboys field where the star is and just stood there and posed on it, and he got clocked for it. It's like, well, why are we allowing people to do that? Because it's a safety issue. And I also agree that, you know, one, you shouldn't be pepper spraying your talent. That's not right. But also, you gotta watch out for the grad assistants and the fans and all that. But we can remedy that by not allowing this. Like, I get it. You want to make a statement and say, "Oh yeah, we own you. We own this." But there are better and safer ways to do that. We allowing this and thinking it's okay. Just because we eliminate this doesn't mean we're quote unquote soft as a people. And I know why people want to keep doing this. I've heard the arguments. I know where it comes from. It's less so about pride and tradition, and it's more so, at least for some people, it's more so, yeah, this is football. This is tough, like whatever. But the safety of everyone involved needs to be paramount here. We should not be treating this like it's okay. this can be outlawed so fast. And I bet you what's going to happen when the NCAA or whoever, NCAA, Big Ten, whoever, whenever they meet, this is going to be outlawed next season. Like they're not going to allow this to continue because you've had multiple games where this happened on rivalry week, and it's not safe for anyone involved. And so I just question, what's the purpose of this? Who does this benefit? Because I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm old, I guess, and I don't get it. Is it maybe this is a new thing, but it just seems pointless.
I mean, it
You
is
know?
pointless, and all it does is rub salt in the wound. Like it's one of those things where you can't even enjoy your own victory without being an awful person at the end. And now that's a leadership thing, which I know how much people love to talk about that, but first off, it's the flag planting thing that should have been nipped in the bud immediately by the coaches. Like somebody should have gotten whiff of that if you're actually monitoring your team and put a stop to that way quicker than letting it come to blows. Now, maybe somebody found out about it on the leadership side and encouraged it, or maybe even made sure that they could get their hands on what it is that they needed to do the activity, you know. And then in that case, there was a failure on that part. And then, at that point, the actual adults involved, unfortunately, probably should have cost them their job. Now, we're looking at this from a couple of different perspectives. Is the reaction of, should this even have been allowed to happen? The answer is no. You should be able to enjoy your victory over your most hated rivalry, give them a good game, and move along. And then gloat about it for the next, 11 months and 29 days until you see them next. Because that's the way that we view our rivalry. The whole rubbing it in right there when you're supposed to be doing the good game at the end, it's just classless.
You know what I blame for this?
Go ahead.
Real quick, you know who I blame for this?
We're going back to
Ryan
Baker
Day.
Mayfield.
No, I blame Ryan Day for this, the head coach of
Well, yeah,
Ohio
because
State.
if he wouldn't have lost, I mean, Michigan would have done that.
True. True.
No, they still would have done that because it's Michigan, and I don't nobody likes
Could you
Michigan.
imagine doing that while you lose and going out on the field?
You'd
There
look
was
So-
someone-
goofy.
There was a good tweet today of someone being like, if I'm a mid college football star, I'm just hitting the Heisman after every single play I do. I don't care if it's like a fumble or like a 60-yard walk run. I'm
Oh
just gonna
my
hit
gosh.
the Heisman pose every single time and hope it's or something.
That is awesome. Gosh.
That reminds me of that, where it's just like you just plant. Like imagine if FSU went into Gainesville and just planted their flag, even though they lost by like 1 billion points.
You know what? I would immensely. That's awful, but at the same time, I would have so much respect for that because that's kind of. It's like,
What are you gonna
why
do?
would you do that?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I gotta respect that.
For the team just walking up and like planting the flag, they're like, "You guys lost." Yeah. What are you gonna do about it? Beat me again?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the ultimate power move. Like,
we've solved it. We've solved it. We've solved it. We have figured out the problem, and we have solved it by simply saying the loser gets to do it. In a baffling sense of we got beaten hilariously, so we're going to do this, and then and then I mean, what's the winner going to do? They're not going to fight you because they already won the game.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the stomping on the logos and planting the flags. I was giving Danny a little bit of a history on that earlier because Danny's up in town this week, and it's like, yeah. So UC for a long time was also one of our heated rivals, and then we beat them. It was like 70-7 or 77-7. Like we beat them so badly that they ran out of fireworks at the stadium to celebrate the touchdowns. Now, and you look and you're like, well, why would you do that? Because first off, they're a rival, so screw them. Secondly, that was also one where they came up and they stomped on the bird, and so the football staff was just like, oh, okay. The starters are staying in.
Well, that was
Fourth
like
quarter, we're up like 40 points, 50 points. Might as well get a couple more touchdowns.
Well, that was like Juju Smith-Schuster, like doing TikTok dances on the logo, and then there's like just a compilation of him getting slammed by Cincinnati for like trying to do like dance on the Bengals logo and stuff like that. But like my biggest thing is like if you really want to find someone to blame, in all honesty, it's a lot of the culture around college sports. I'll be perfectly honest. People want the blood, people want the fighting, and it's kind of annoying because just the worst. Like it just feels like a lot of this stuff is like encouraged by like people because it gets views and stuff, and it just feels like it's like it feels that as if like everyone's just kind of out for blood and just doesn't really care about any sort of like professionalism or whatnot anymore. Like they want to see the blood sports. They don't care about like anything else. And like that's what gets butts in seats. And like now we're starting to slide into that, which is that bad path to go down.
Yeah, no, it's this whole idea of, the game's gone soft. If I don't know if people believe that or whatever, but game's gone soft. This is fine. This, people were saying the same thing, not to, segue this too off track. But they were saying the same thing about the whole hit on Lawrence. You had half people saying, "Oh, it's a dirty hit." The other half were like, "Oh, tough it out, cupcake. This is football. The game's going soft." And it's like, that crowd who thinks it's okay to show any kind of sportsmanship, it means it's soft, it's disgusting. But don't be surprised when people get pepper sprayed or you have someone seriously hurt because players want to fool around and plant flags and not expect something to happen. Like, what do you think was going to happen? People were just going to accept it and be like, "Okay, I guess you own our stadium now. It's fine." No, it's not how it works. You got a bunch of the testosterone jacked people who are going to kick your what if you do that.
Well,
So it's
there's
like,
that, and that's also the other thing that I was trying to get at with my opening on this, because I know it's been a while since we were at the opening on this particular topic, but the entire fine was $100,000 to each school, and nobody got suspended.
that tells me the Big Ten doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we
the
knew that.
kicker should have been suspended
Hang
because he
on.
stole that flag.
Hang on. We saw that with old Stallion Gate last year, that the Big
Oh,
Ten didn't
wow.
care.
Well, yeah. Crazy how Michigan looks, mid when they don't cheat, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So they were saying that Brian Day's only lost twice to Michigan because the one doesn't count because they were cheating.
No, I have to agree with Silox because you gotta show your sportsmanship, no matter how physical football gets and all that stuff. And people are like, "Oh, football, big, tough, mean sport. You can't be soft." Yeah, you definitely can't be soft, but like big time, you
But guess
that
what you're
that,
not
that, that
doing at
whole
the end of the
thought that
game
whole
when
that
the
whole
game's
thought
over?
is toxic
Yeah, because
because
you're not
like
playing football at the end, right? You're done. You've done your hard, tough stuff. Go enjoy your victory, but without being a
Oh,
D
God,
nozzle. But go
Jameis,
ahead.
you
yeah, for
silly.
real. Because
Football's not woke.
Because I know if I did that and if you do that in high school, your coach is gonna run you till you puke next practice. I'm just saying. But nah, I think sportsmanship should be returned. Cause like I get it because there was one year when South Carolina upset us back in 2019. It was the year when Joe Burrow was with LSU and all that. When South Carolina upset us, they ripped our hedges to shreds and started like taking it and like putting it in their mouths like, we upset Georgia and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's cool and all, but like y'all should be big time fined for uh ripping our hedges to shreds after we made it look nice.
Well, in the interest of being told not to keep talking with my fingers in the Monday podcast chat, I will say that Ryan Day needs to be fired. Yeah.
That's so like that is such a good. God, dang it, that's a good topic.
Okay. So
I mean,
I
I
will.
understand. I understand the position that they hate Michigan so bad that like they're willing to fire this coach. Now the question is, if I decided to show up and start coaching OSU, would I have the same record? Because this is how I'm viewing the Ryan Day hiring process. If me, someone who has never coached a game in his life, takes over that team, if I can somehow get the same record because of the same amount of money and talent that's being poured into that, the answer is yes. Ryan Day should be fired. If I can't get that same record, then it's like, well, maybe he's not that bad. And that y'all beat up on Michigan for so many years that maybe it's okay just to have a couple down years.
I mean, so Ohio State has the same problem that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. They are incredibly spoiled. They both are so spoiled by success. If you do not win a Super Bowl, people call for your head. Likewise in Ohio State, if you don't win national championships or at least beat Michigan, they're going to call for your head. The crazy part is you talk to a majority of any other fan base, they would kill to have Ryan Day as their head coach. You kidding me? Winning at minimum 9 games a year? Getting the like, oh my gosh. Most people would sign it up in a heartbeat. But Ohio State fans have been spoiled by Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer to expect greatness. Do I think Ryan Day is a horrible coach? Absolutely not. I do think he has the same issue that James Franklin has at Penn State. That is, they can't beat their rival. They can't win when it matters. And in Columbus, if you're not beating Michigan, well, that's a problem. Conversely, Jim Hard, excuse me, the same issue in Ann Arbor for all those years. What was the thing? Oh, he's a great coach. Michigan's winning. They just couldn't beat Ohio State, and he was on the proverbial hot seat. Maybe not as openly as Ryan Day was, but there's always talk in Ann Arbor of, well, should they move on from Jim Harbaugh? He's not going to win a national title. He can't beat Michigan. Obviously, he did that. He got over the hump. But I think strictly from a unbiased point of view here, not speaking as a Maryland football fan, uh, firing Ryan Day would probably backfire in Ohio State's face. The grass is not always greener on the other side, and you don't know who would even step into that role. I don't know who's available that could step in and even lead that team. Ryan Day's a
available.
who?
Adam Gase. I mean,
Yes,
I'm saying.
please hire. You're right, Con. I hope Ohio State hires Adam Gase. That would be a great pick. Please do it.
You think Ohio fans are spoiled now? If only you knew how bad it could get.
It'll be like Nebraska moving on from Bo Pelini. It'll be just like that. Man, I want to see this.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm sitting here watching. Or in the Gus Bus versus Auburn. It's like you get the chance to spoil the things for Nick Saban's Alabama. Like you are the one that is your one superpower, and it's just not good enough for you. Do you know how many other schools, and they're not even their rival?
Oh my God, I would kill for Maryland to be 9-3 or whatever each year. I would take that in a heartbeat. I don't care if we don't compete for national titles. Just get me to a decent bowl game. That's all I care about.
Yeah, right? Like if we were 9-3 this year, I could be like, well, if they let a 9-3 SEC team in, and especially since we've got the number one overall, if you use the old BCS projections, strength of schedule, that's a good segue right there. All I'm saying is if you look at him numbers, we're number one. I mean, Louisville's got the number one strength of schedule if you use the old SEC or the old BCS calculations in terms of strength of schedule, and it takes a while to get to an actual SEC team. I mean, outside of Oklahoma, of course. But do they
So
really count?
by this logic, if you just did the BCS though formula, does that mean Louisville and Kansas will play in the national title game?
No. This is for strength of
Oh.
schedule. So
Oh,
It'd be a
which
disgusting national title.
that gets weighted. So that gets weighted. So like if you're a 9-3 SEC team, they should weigh that 3 with your strength of schedule against every other 9-3 team, and whoever has the highest strength of schedule out of that 9-3, you get extra points in terms of good. And that's the way that they would do that on the computer. But the SEC didn't like that, so.
So I'm just looking on our college football on Reddit, and someone did do like a BCS style rankings for
I
week
posted
14.
it. It's in our chat, actually.
Oh,
it's,
it
it's,
is?
Yeah, the final is out there right there. If you scroll up there.
We should probably put it in the description.
Wow. Oregon and Texas. I guess.
It was Louisville, Kansas, Florida State, Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan, Florida, UCLA, Purdue, LSU, Stanford, Mississippi State, Cincinnati, and UCF.
Oh,
was
no,
the
no, no,
top
no,
14.
no. Oh, I meant like they did their own rankings. So this was on our college football. So they did like the AP rank, coaches rank, computer. So this is like using the actual BCS if it was still a thing. And they had Oregon and Texas as 1 and 2. Then Notre Dame at 3, which is just egregious, and Penn State and Georgia.
Well, all right. So, okay. So, for anyone that doesn't remember the BCS system, which it's probably like half the people in this chat, so it had some weird hard on for Notre Dame. And like Notre Dame was just always magically just be like, "Ooh, I'm here and I'm somehow relevant." And it's like, why? You don't win any games here. Like, what are you doing here? You never win anything in the BCS. Like the only time that you, I think, even came close to winning, even if you did win, it was like an accident. And we're like, we're sorry. And then ESPN spent like 5 years using that one win as validation of why they should always still be considered because they did it once.
Didn't they? What was the year that was the Manti Te'o year that they made the game and got boat raced by Bama. I forgot what year that was.
Oh, there was a couple of those. There were a
Yeah,
couple of those. Let's be
they
honest.
did not deserve to be there. They did not deserve to be in that game. But BCS was a hell of a drug. Thank God we don't use it anymore.
Like they lost so bad that didn't his fake girlfriend dump him?
Yeah.
Wasn't that how that went? And for those of you that have no idea about that joke, that was a great joke, and you should just do a little bit of football research.
Tailwing was a thing for a minute. It was great. I feel bad for the guy because like he got catfished, but oh my God, the memes at the time were amazing.
It's like, dude, did you just like the quarter? He was the quarterback for like Notre Dame. It's like, dude, just go to a bar. You'll have a new girlfriend. It's fine. Well, no, like this person's a real person. I don't think they are.
The crazy thing was he actually, so he played on defense. I forgot what position he was, but I think he's the closest we've gotten to a defensive player winning the Heisman.
Yeah,
since
he was close.
Charles Woodson, I think. Yeah, Woodson was the last defensive player to win it, I think. Yeah. So he was amazing. Didn't really do anything in the NFL, but he's college wise. He's a really good player.
Can we use that to segue into? I wanted to talk at least a little bit about the Heisman stuff.
You're almost there.
Well, I thought we were at open talk right now.
No, strength of schedule. So if you, I don't know, I assume that you guys at least watch SEC Roll Call.
Yes, I love that series. I love it.
Yeah, I think his name's Matt Mitchell. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Last week, go ahead.
I watch him and Funny Mane. He's a Bama fan, but he's also pretty good too.
I do SEC Shorts as well.
Oh, I love
I do
SEC
those three.
Shorts.
SEC Shorts is banger.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so last week he did a thing and he had them all sit down around Thanksgiving and kind of talk through things and well, he was going through all of the the rivals that they all had to play in the coming thing. And then they go to the Kentucky Louisville game and he goes, "Man, if I had a Louisville shirt, like you just wouldn't enjoy this at all." But moving on. Well, this week he had to actually buy one because they published it just a couple hours before we went live here. And I got to catch it. And he, in fact, now does have a brand new, crisp, shiny, can even see the fold lines from when he took it out of the package. Because he was like, "Oh, crap, I got to get one here like now." And I enjoyed it. It was
You just know he
wonderful.
got that Timu one.
Yeah, no, he had to get it overnight. So it came Amazon.
I know. Oh yeah, yeah. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying he got that cheap one. It's definitely not real, or maybe it is. Maybe
It is. It's the real crappy one that they stock outside of the state. Because, like, I mean, you could have at least gotten the one that had the cardinal bird on it instead of the stupid L one. But yeah, the stupid L one. But yes, still made him buy a shirt, which that's a win in my book. It means we're back to relevancy, and it's been a long haul back from mediocrity. In fact, I got to thank a lot of UC fans for hiring away our crappy coach from a little while ago. So now we're going to move on to open discussion college related. So, Con, I understand you have an opinion potentially about something to do with the Heisman Trophy. Is that correct?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, great. Moving on.
No, I'm just no. I just wanted to say that I think it's pretty clear, at least to me, that it should be Gene T. It should be Ashton Gene T. I think that's pretty clear, at least in my opinion. I just don't know. I just hate this talk about whether or not Shadir Sanders should get it or whatever. And I just feel like that's like a lot of BS. Like they're doing a lot of stat padding and like stuff. Like there was like a thing on Twitter today where it's like they were sending out stuff to all the Heisman voters. Like Dan Orlovsky like basically did an unboxing of like Shadir Sanders Heisman thing. And it was just like, what are we doing here? Like it just seems like the dumbest Heisman argument. It seems like probably Gene T is probably the best running back we've seen in college, probably since Derrick Henry, give or take. He's racking up numbers for Boise State. So I mean that's hard to do. So I think it's pretty clear, at least in my opinion, that it should go to
Boys
him.
is in the Big 12 now?
No, they're still in the Mountain West. Yeah, that one, right? Yeah.
Even if they're going against not the best like strength of schedule, I still think it's pretty impressive. Like even if you like you know
I
you would
mean,
still have that production probably. And
I see what you're getting. I
I
see what
I
you're getting
doubt
at.
where
I
you're going to
s-
have the same numbers, but like, I mean, to be fair, I was always on the receiving end of this kind of criticisms with Louisville back in the day because we were Conference USA, and then the Big East, and then the argument was always, well, yeah, but he's not that good because he's putting up the numbers against Conference USA teams, and it's like, okay, great. So then Teddy would go down and we'd go up against Florida and we'd kick Florida's teeth in back when Florida was relevant. And people are like, well, okay, well, maybe he's good. But like people even said stuff about Lamar, like, oh, well, he couldn't handle it against the against LSU. And it was like, well, yeah, but he was one man. If he had had a proper O line, LSU would have had a problem.
well, yeah, I just think I agree. I just think that the Heisman also has really been the game in general has been becoming more QB centric, and I think that could be kind of bad for the game in general.
yeah,
But
that is true. A lot of QBs have been mainly getting when it's like an all around player award, but it's mostly been QBs recently. But if I did have to say anything, I don't think like if there's any player I think has a better well cut that part out. Um, if there's any player that I feel like that might come in and swoop it from Janie, it might be Travis Hunter. I
yeah,
feel
that
like his chances would be better than Shador Sanders.
But I've been seeing a lot of stuff with Sanders online and stuff like that, and it just kind of like bugged me a little bit because I was like, his numbers are like good, but they're not like insano like levels. Like even I mean, I would even make the argument that yeah, Travis Hunter probably would deserve it better because he's been having a pretty good year. But
He's
like,
he's been doing phenomenal, honestly, in my opinion. From what I've seen, his ability to make plays is ridiculous. Like, imagine if both him and Shador went to a team that wasn't Colorado.
mm,
They'd be kind of her team to beat.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Colorado's been struggling, but they've still like managed to win games this year. But it's just kind of also weird where it's like we'll see. I mean, obviously, also college players don't always, if you're good in college, going to work.
Yeah, that's
Best.
on one of my top lists. I agree with you. There's also another team that's really close to there that I also think that something terrible was going to happen.
I mean,
You don't
probably
think the Giants?
Oh, the Giants? Yeah, the Giants. Yeah, the Giants would also be pretty bad, depending on their O. I mean, yeah, it really depends on the Giants. I still think the Jets would be worse than the Giants, just because basically all of his receivers would be guys Aaron Rodgers likes that are probably still stuck on the team. I mean, like poor Devontae Adams, man's ride or die for his man, but he might be getting left on two different teams by Aaron Rodgers, which feels awful. But like and I don't think Sanders is really that much of like a gunslinger, like deep ball. Like he's more of a dual threat quarterback, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So like that doesn't make any sense for that team at all. And also, you need a good O line to have like good, you know, have a good running QB. And so the Jets O line is not good. So I think the Jets and Giants are probably pretty bad, but I think the Jets are slightly worse.
So for maximum chaos, I would love nothing more for him to end up down in Dallas.
Oh.
Yes. Can you imagine the war of the egos that would occur?
That would be like the ultimate Jerry Jones chaos demon. Like,
Oh,
pick.
and since he's gonna fire, his coach, guess who has a good connection to a coach? Could you just imagine the chaos that entire organization would go through? Oh, it would be so like the tears would have that Texas barbecue flavor. It would be so nice.
But also the other thing is, what if he went to the Steelers and was on a team with George Pickens? Could you imagine that? That would be the Twitter beef would fuel generations of memes.
Well, first off, he's not going to the Steelers because the Steelers already have a current quarterback and one for the next generation, so they're good there.
Oh no,
Fields?
Maybe.
Oh,
They're going to push. They're going to push Fields through for at least another 2 years.
But I'm just thinking, the drama with him on like he was saying some crap on Twitter or something. The drama between those two, someone would get killed on the field. Like you talk about pepper spray and like bad sportsmanship. Like George Pickens would like win a game and then like just beat the crap out of a security guard.
yeah. So I have not. I'll be honest. I have not paid attention to the Heisman. I have lost interest in it. At this point, it's it's strictly a quarterback and sometimes offensive player award. It's not a true award that represents players on the field. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't care who wins it. In regards to Sanders and Shador, his dad, and Travis Hunter, I have a theory that Shador is only going to play in certain places. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see another rerun of what happened with Eli and his dad, where they're only going to allow him to play in certain markets, like how Eli was dealt to New York because his father did not want him out in San Diego. I cannot see him in a place like Cleveland. I can't see him in a place like, God forbid, Carolina, or or Tennessee. I'm looking at the draft order now. Really, at
We
least
don't
in the
want him. We've got our quarterback. We need everything else.
well, in like the first 5 picks, there's only 3. Well, I guess 2.5 teams that need quarterbacks. The Raiders, Giants, and I guess Carolina. I don't know how that's going to play out.
I think Bryce has actually been getting better.
No, they're keeping Bryce.
Yeah, so that just leaves the Raiders and the Giants, and I don't know if
Cleveland.
Jets.
oh, God, would he allow his son to go to the Jets, knowing how dysfunctional that organization is, though?
No,
Like,
I mean he's tweeted every Shadur's
it's-
tweeted every time the Giants have lost. He was like, praise God every time the Giants lost.
He desperately wants to go to the Giants.
yeah, and he won't go to Tennessee. Obviously, there's no marketing potential there.
But the
But
thing
they
is
wanna keep him.
it's draft, so you're gonna go there at least until you're traded.
Well, like I
Or you
said,
should just say I'm
or
not signing there and not draft and not.
yeah, or his dad steps in and pulls an Archie Manning and gets him to play somewhere else. Like I think that's gonna happen, Or the other
But his
thing,
dad
is you're
thinks
gonna
it's gonna
see.
happen.
Or Dak gets traded and Shadur becomes quarterback of the Cowboys with Dion as the head coach.
Well, they're gonna have to move up with somebody to make that happen. I don't know how that's gonna work.
Trade Dak
But
to the Giants for the top pick, or Dak to the Raiders for a top pick.
Okay,
'Cause the Raiders
that's
could
actually an
do it.
option.
that's actually not a
Yeah.
bad idea. That's
Yeah,
actually
that's a pretty good take, Lexi.
I actually have a
Yeah.
hypothetical.
I was trying to.
Hang on,
I could
Con.
see that.
Stupid.
I know. I just had a hypothetical question for Silox, going back to what he said earlier. If
What's
you
up?
think, as far as defensive players, I mean, obviously you said like it was more of an offensive trophy. Who do you think, if any defensive player deserves a Heisman this year, if you could give one to them? Like,
Oh
just
God,
in general,
I
is there anyone
honestly,
stand out?
I honestly could not tell you. I have not really paid attention to players that much as I have in other years. So I honestly couldn't tell you. I will say, just like the MVP in the NFL, there have been defensive players who have played over the years that I've watched, to where I'm like, that person probably should have won it over, say, the quarterback or the wide receiver or the running back who did. But the Heisman, like the NFL MVP, is just, let's give it to the quarterback. Maybe we'll give it to the running back. And on the off chance they're good, we'll give it to the wide receiver. But anyone else, no, you're not getting it. So my solution to all this has been, well, treat it like baseball. Like, baseball has the Cy Young, which is strictly just for pitchers, and then everyone else has their thing. Just do it like that. But I don't know.
Okay.
Actually,
I just want a defensive player to get the Heisman, so at least I know who I'm drafting. Because we are golden on offense. Like, we are setting records, but still not winning.
you don't want that. Who's the wide receiver from Michigan? Not Michigan. Missouri. Burton. I think that's what his name is. You don't want him.
I mean, that would be great, but right now I got some needs.
Joe Burrow looks like a defeated man. I feel so sorry for that man.
It's a weird look for someone that's scoring like 38 points a game.
It's gonna be so nice seeing T. Higgins in a Commander's uniform next year.
I can see it. I hope that happens too.
I mean, at this point, I guess that wouldn't be too bad if we let T go and we get that other.
Y'all can't
superstar.
draft. No, y'all need to work on drafting defense, not offense. Joe
Yes.
Burrow's gonna ask for a trade, and y'all don't work on defense.
Well, what we'll do is we'll tag T, and we'll trade it for your first round pick.
Oh
Save him.
no.
No, you can have him for Jonathan Allen.
You're gonna hate this, but this mock has Ashton Genty to the Bengals at 10.
Oh, the what?
That would be stupid because they need defense.
Oh my god.
Jets-
They would
Jets
do
would
What?
something
probably
like
agree with
that though. That's
I
the
We
thing.
would.
say-
We
or not-
would. But we should
That's
we should
crazy.
we should tag T because like T wanted this money anyway. So like just go ahead tag him. He gets the premium on it. Whatever. Commanders have plenty of room. Trade that as much as I would hate because I literally have a signed helmet from T downstairs on my mantle.
With
Like
me.
Danny's right now having to sit there and look at it. And it would hurt to see T go. But if we could get another threat in wide receiver in terms of drafting, while also getting another first round pick to where we could load up on the defensive side of things.
Y'all, T. Higgins is not worth a first round pick right now.
He's a top wide. He'd be a top wide
Not-
receiver anywhere
Not
else.
with injuries.
Oh, I don't know about that. No.
No.
He's a
You would have to pay. At
He's
least
a good. He's a
third.
good 2, borderline 1.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What were you saying, Con?
I would say like if you're not getting the first for him, then you're getting like a whole boatload of picks. Like probably like if it's like not a first, it's probably like second and third, like conditional fifth, sixth.
I'll give you D tackle Jonathan Allen and a 3rd round pick.
Because I'll
For
tell you
T.
right now,
Higgins. Oh, I would take that.
the injuries he's gotten has been mostly contractitis. So like, there's also been a lot of that.
Also, that
I-
trade would be beneficial for both of our teams. John Allen for T. Higgins.
I'm just
That'd
trying
be
to figure out what
beneficial for both teams.
Yeah, but
I'm
we're
just
going
trying-
to first round. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to figure out what people see in T. Higgins to where people are thinking he's one of the top wide receivers in the league because he's clearly not. He's a really good number 2. I would not have him start at my 1. I don't.
It's just because of Chase. He's getting
well-
he's getting one-on-one targets and he's getting open because of Chase, not because of T.
But also
He's
Chase is
like a
also
leader or
successful
something like
because
that.
T is such a big threat
Yeah.
that when T takes off, then they start going, okay, we're going to do proper man, or do proper coverage, and then Chase sets the world on fire, which is why there's such a great 1-2 combo. But they both want top tier wide receiver money, and we're only paying one of them, and that one's a pretty easy one to guess which one we're going to pay.
Probably gonna happen. Y'all are gonna let T walk and then draft LaFar Burton or whatever from Mizzou, I think.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna focus on defense, and they're gonna be like, Joe Burrow got this, we got this, and then your coach is gonna be fired mid next season, and you're gonna be talking about Joe Burrow being traded in time to rebuild the defense, just like how Carson Palmer said the Bengals would fail Joe Burrow.
I just can't believe that LeVar Burton is in the draft, considering that he's like what 50 right now.
Where's that meme of that tiger that's shocked? And it's like he's not built for this. That's Zach Taylor every Sunday when he has to coach.
Well,
need to fire him.
so here's how I know that you're wrong, Lexi, because you said the Bengals were going to fire Zach Taylor mid-season. And I don't know if you know anything about this organization, but if there's one thing we don't do, is fire early before that contract has expired.
Oh yeah, so y'all are gonna keep him, and then Joe Burrow's gonna ask for a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, Carson Palmer predicted this years ago.
Well, yeah, but also Carson Palmer was salty for other reasons. And to be fair, we paid Dalton. Like, Dalton got paid. So a lot of the Carson's complaints is because Mike was more active in things. Now we're just dealing with his kids, which, nepotism aside, we don't really quite know where we're going to end up with.
Oh, that's not good.
But hey, I was at the Steelers and Bengals game this weekend and had great seats. That's about all I can say about it.
Looked good for a while until it didn't.
Did you know
Yeah.
that the Steelers, since realignment, are 21-4 in Cincinnati?
Yes. Thank you, Lexi.
Wow. Talk about that's awful.
Hey, if it makes
For
you
the
feel any
Bengals.
better, you want to know who has won the AFC North more recently than the Browns? Not only the Houston Oilers, but the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow. Look at
Well, yeah,
that.
that's because it's the Browns.
Browns are
Yeah.
awful.
If we
No,
could
I'm
Should
just
trade the
never
saying,
got rid
Browns.
of it.
at
Baker.
least you're not Cleveland.
Fun times in Cleveland
I mean,
today.
that ain't saying much. To be fair, though, that is one of the cheers. That is one of the cheers that comes on the video board, like at the beginning. It's like, "Hey, everybody, we're not in Cleveland," and then the whole crowd erupts and cheers.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
Cleveland Browns in comparison are like Buffalo Cheez-Its. Hype,
Yeah,
but no hype, but nothing.
that is a great comparison.
Look,
I like that.
Look, we have talked significantly about your food selections today, Lexi. Are you? I am just going to pull your ability to pass any kind of judgment on foods out.
You know what? I'll
Actually-
be the judge of that this week.
Yeah.
You know, a better comparison to the
And
Buffalo
Con, right?
Cheez-Its.
Wait, hang on. Con, you're going to be at MFF this week, right?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. We're going to settle this.
Oh,
We could do like a live episode, like. on
We are
Tuesday.
not doing a live episode.
Okay,
No.
never mind. We're not doing a live episode.
I wish we could.
I wish we could, but I'm not doing a live episode, especially at MFF.
But
That'd be fun though.
Yeah, no. I don't know if we have any more NFL stuff you guys want to talk about.
I was just gonna say, there's a better comparison to Buffalo Cheez-Its. All the hype but no substance.
I've got to give
Here.
Lexi at least another 10 more minutes of us talking because there's a lot of con stuff that's getting cut.
Your
Oh,
Your 2024 Houston Texans. All the hype but no substance.
yeah, and then they killed Trevor Lawrence on the field. That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh. I've lost a lot of respect for the Texans, honestly. I went into that game like, it's the Texans, like whatever. But then like D'Amico Ryans were like doubling down on it, and I'm like, why? Like,
'Cause
if
it's the
you don't know,
Texans.
there was a bad hit on Trevor Lawrence. Like he was going down to slide, and then Azeez Al-Shahir just decks him for no reason. He was on the ground. Shahir, he's like, oh man, I was like going too early, and there was so much BS on Twitter that was like, oh, he couldn't pull out. It's like, no, he could have like easily. There's been 10 billion plays where the player like goes down in order to like truck him, and then he sees the QB is down and just kind of like leaps over him, like
Or rolls
that's
to
what
the
you're supposed
side.
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do instead of hitting him in the head because that's stupid. But like, I was sitting next to my Texans fan friend, and like he was worried. He was honestly like he was worried that he was going to get his beat up. He did get threatened at the stadium, which was not fun. But he was also saying that like I'm worried for CJ Stroud because like now they're going to be headhunting for him after they did that to Trevor. Because after Trevor was already hurt, he shouldn't have been playing in that game anyways. But I don't
Right.
know why he was in. But like it just didn't make any sense that like now people are like defending it and stuff. It's like that play was like Joe Flacco got hit with that play, and he got everyone hated that play. And that was in 2014. I had someone or that was in 2017. I apologize. Someone was saying that this was like allowed in 2014, and I was like, what are you talking about? I think it was Teddy Bridgewater got hit like that in 2014, and everyone hated it because it's just a bad hit. It just looks bad. It doesn't do anything for your team, and also it didn't even stop a first down. Like even without the penalty, it still would have been a first down. So it
Yep.
didn't do anything. Like
I
it's
think
like,
that was the
why
one that I
are
was
you
talking
doing
about,
that?
right? What that was against Florida, right?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about in the NFL?
in the NFL? It might have been against Florida, but it was like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because Louisville ended up winning that game because like they clocked not out of a Teddy. It was a dirty hit, like super dirty hit, because like they've been talking smack all. Because the thing with like Louisville and Florida teams is there's a lot of animosity there because we tend to recruit heavily from Florida, and we compete a lot directly with the recruiting that comes out of there. And there was just a lot of nasty stuff that was coming out towards Teddy, and like like opening play was dirty hit. I don't know if it's opening play, but opening set of downs, I think. And still he drilled that pass and it got it, and he got up and just went forward and kicked the snot out of Florida.
But yeah, that's the sort of thing where it's like it just doesn't do anything, not only for the sport, but it also just if I'm the coach, I'm pissed off at you because it's like, no, you got to understand that that's going to cost you games if you do crap like that. And then not only that, but I actually have video of it. So what happened was he was on the sideline. Obviously, the Jaguars players, like literally, people came off the bench and punched him in the face. One of the Jags players got up off the bench and just punched him right in the face. So I mean, fair enough. But then after he got ejected from the game, he was like taunting fans and had to be held back by his own guy. And Brandon Sheriff almost punched him again. Fans were throwing things on the field. That was the worst fight I've seen at the Jags Stadium since 2017 Seahawks at the end of that game. And that was an ugly, ugly fight. I was not expecting that at all from a game that like meant almost nothing.
So do you think currently that the Texans are going, you know what? We've got that first round draft pick, and there's a certain Michigan player that has a bit of that Texas spunk that we're looking for.
Well, if they do that, they're idiots because they need an O line, and their O line is paper thin. Like C.J. Stroud barely outplayed Mac Jones that game, which is honestly sad.
You're
Jones,
looking at this through an objective lens, and I'm looking at it from the. I'm making a joke about how terrible they are.
No,
morally.
The Jags might need to go toward quarterback in the draft.
No, they're not going with quarterback. We just gave Trev $1 billion. We're not.
We should draft
we are
Travis
going to
Hunter.
We're going to get Travis Hunter if we get that low, which we
Yeah.
probably. Which
That's
I am
probably the
fine with.
safest bet.
If we do Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. as our wide receiving core, that's pretty good. Both on rookie contracts, that's pretty good. And if Trevor is healthy, that's the biggest thing. Is that we need to keep Trevor healthy, draft good O-line, and then we'll be fine. I think Trevor will come back from this. I don't think he was as banged up as people were saying. Someone on Twitter said he had a TBI. I don't think he had a TBI. That's insane.
Well, the first thing I've learned is you always take all of your medical advice from Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Everyone was like, he's doing the fencing pose. And I was like, he's not really doing the fencing pose, but, I guess. I think that he's going to be okay. He shouldn't have really even been in that game. How Doug Peterson has a job, especially after he handled it in that post interview where he's like, well, he like just didn't say anything. He didn't defend his players after they got like killed on the field. Like, yeah, no. Like that man, I don't know how he still has a job because again, hey, the Jaguars don't like to fire mid-season either. So there we go. But that was insane. In a game that I was not expecting anything out of the ordinary to happen, that happened, and then all of a sudden it's just like it's like why? Like what are you doing? Like he should be fined. I think he should honestly be suspended for 2 games. I think that's fair. And like literally people were pointing out like he punched a Bears player in the face earlier this year. Like come on. Like what are you doing?
That sounds like it's an habitual line crosser.
Habitual line snapper.
He literally famously when he was on the Niners, he choked Tom Brady.
I mean, we've all wanted to at one point.
Oh,
Trust
I know.
me, I know.
But like,
Oh God, yeah.
But like, if you're a player on the field, like he was like Tom Brady like threw the pass and he was like choking him. It just doesn't make. I don't know. I just do not like that style. I think that like there's a style of play like play gritty and rough, and then there's just being an idiot. That just doesn't get you anywhere. You're gonna get penalties and like get people ejected. And the score was like 3-0. It was 6-0. Like, and we were like barely putting together a drive, and he got a first down. And the Jaguars are like 2-9, and the Texans are almost certainly winning the division. Like, garbage game that doesn't mean anything. And all of a sudden, people are just like I mean, I understand, you want people to play hard every single time, but there's playing hard and there's just being an idiot.
I had no idea that the AFC South got down like that.
We
Like,
usually don't. We're usually just sad.
Yeah,
Like-
usually they're sad, but like Texans will have a tendency to play dirty.
like that was shocking. I'm like, I said in the chat, I was not familiar with y'all's game. Like, okay, I see y'all. I just thought the AFC South existed and like everybody was chill with each other. I didn't realize there was like actual hate against each team.
This might
Shocking.
make actual hate. Like this is like actual hate in the AFC South is pretty, bland because like the only people really in this AFC South that hate each other. I mean, everyone just hates the Titans, and that's it. I don't even really hate the Colts that much, but like the Texans, no, because they haven't done anything.
And hating the Titans though, that's at this point in the game. I mean, that's just like hating like the short bus, right? That's like, I just really. It's like
I have never. I was born.
Yeah.
I was born in 1998, and I will never forgive them for 1999, ever. I will die on that hill.
Is
I
that
was
something
1 year old, and it broke my heart. I don't even remember it.
You
It's
see,
ancestral. It's in my blood.
it caused you to ruin a set of diapers, and you just it's ingrained in
What?
you.
I hate Jeff Fisher with all of my heart.
Yeah, the AFC South is not like the NFC East and AFC North. Those
The
two
NFC
divisions,
East people get stabbed over crap.
you will. The NFC East and AFC North are the two divisions where we want to kill each other.
Yeah, so
The
now we
other
can
divi-
blame. We can now blame Cleveland because Cleveland's going to ruin the AFC North too. Because they're wanting to build a dome because they think that'll make them be better.
Boo! Communism. That's communism. How dare
Well,
they?
it's Clevelandism.
Yeah, it's Grover Cleveland did not want this.
So you got that going for you. Speaking of snow games, though, did you watch the Buffalo game last night?
Yep.
Yeah.
Rip Christian McCaffrey's career. He should just retire at this point. His
Someone-
So
knees
that was
are never gonna.
that of everything that we watched was your takeaway for that game.
The sleeper account tweeted out that Christian McCaffrey looked good in the snow 2 minutes before he got hurt. Which
He
was
needs to retire though. His knees are not there anymore.
no, it was an MCL tear.
That's what he
It
was
wasn't a
recovering
knee.
from. He was out for the knee. Now he's out for a knee now, but it was recovering from an MCL tear. I thought.
No, I thought it was the
No,
other
it was
way
the
around. where
arthritis. It was the arthritis he was recovering from.
He did he have arthritis?
Yep, that's what he went to Germany for.
Anyway.
His
Okay.
legs are cooked.
But your takeaway from that wonderfully beautiful game of snowball in Buffalo was you want to talk about what the 49ers did rather than what Josh Allen did, setting a freaking record.
I want to talk about that one fan that threw a snowball at the field goal and almost hit the ball. I think he should be MVP.
Well, we want
That's my takeaway
Jo-
from that game.
to talk about how Josh Allen became the franchise leader for touchdown passes on a pass he threw and caught himself.
Yes. And if you look at the last two plays, I believe it had two plays where he got a rushing touchdown, the reception touchdown, and threw a touchdown in two plays.
And
I
he's very
benched him for
Haley
Baker
Steinfeld.
Mayfield this week in my fantasy league. Boo.
That's a you problem.
Hey, I mean, fingers crossed. I'm currently looking at Cortland Sutton and hoping that he doesn't get 8 bajillion yards and beat me. But
We should do a fantasy segment.
Oh, we should not do a fantasy segment unless someone wants to pay for it.
My fantasy segment is that the FSU is going to the college championship. That's my
Well,
fantasy segment.
That's college fantasy. So speaking of college fantasies, I think it's about time for us to wrap things up. So in the meantime, thanks everyone for tuning in, joining out, and hanging out. In the meantime, if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully, once we get back, because we're going to be taking a week off after this gets published, right, Lexi?
Yes.
And then once it gets published, we'll be back after a week, and we'll see you afterwards.
Horns down.
Yay! I'm
Remember,
so
life is
excited.
pain.